Hey guys, and welcome into another video. Now today, we're going to be doing a 2-round mock draft. The first 2-round mock draft of the year. If you guys are new to the channel, I've done a ton of mock drafts throughout the years. But this is not going to be one of my official ones. Those will be a different setting. Obviously, when the draft network's up, that means we're just trying to do something fun. You'll see a little bit better of a setup when I do my 7-round mock drafts and such as well. So first order of business, congrats to the Rams being the Super Bowl champions. So happy for Odell getting his ring. You know, as a Giants fan, it's pretty cool to see him. Obviously, it came out just recently towards ACL, so hoping for a speedy recovery for Odell. And the Bengals will be back. There's no worries about that. Second order of business is I'm going to start doing the 7-round mock draft soon. Now that the Super Bowl's over, it's really time to get into the offseason work, and I have a lot of ideas and videos planned. So just let me know what teams you guys want in the comment section below for the 7-round mock drafts. I know Miami fans are usually some of my best fans when it comes to those mock drafts, so let me know down below. And of course, if you guys aren't familiar with my big board, you'll see a good amount of it right now, but it updates pretty much every day. You can go ahead and check that out. It should be one of the top links in the description below, where you can also like, subscribe, and turn notifications on. So with all that out of business, we're already a minute in. Let's get right into it. Again, this isn't one of the official ones. This is just something laid back and fun. I have no plan going into this. I'm going to be doing it all, you know, as you see it live, basically. So it's basically like a live mock draft, except we're not doing a live chat. But let me know if that is something you guys would want. With the first pick, you know, I've gone back and forth with this for a while. I think that, truthfully, there's no bad pick. I know positional value, a lot of people are worried about certain things. I think Kyle Hamilton would be a great pick. I think he's the best player in the class, best athlete in the class, and everything. Offensive line, I know that a lot of people are saying that's something, you know, help out Trevor. For me, I think that the best pick, when you're a team like Jacksonville, who has picked back-to-back first overall picks, you just need talent. And so just get the most talented player, where maybe he doesn't have the most upside, because I don't believe that. That's why he's 4th on my board. But Aiden Hutchinson's going to be the selection here for me. Just because I think that he's going to go in there and dominate right away. And him not having to be that number 1 edge rusher, you know, they have Josh Allen on the other side. You know, Miles Jack is in the middle linebacker position. They're able to do more with Aiden Hutchinson, and I think they'll have a better impact in Jacksonville than he would in a Detroit or other place where he really would be that primary pass rusher. I really do like him in Jacksonville, and I think that's the best pick. You know, I get the protecting Trevor Lawrence thing, but this is a pretty deep class for offensive linemen. You'll be able to use your first pick in the 2nd round, or trade back into the 1st in order to get another one too. So I'm not really too worried about the offensive line necessarily. You know, I know no one really wants to see Cam Robinson again, but there's a lot of options that you can do in the offseason, and the Jacksonville Jaguars have a lot of money as well, and there's ways to get rid of a lot of money as well. So I like the pick a lot. Here at pick 2, this is where it gets interesting. Now, I personally, I'll come out and say it, I'm more towards I like Jared Goff than I don't like Jared Goff. I don't think that he's this superstar, number 1 overall pick worthy quarterback. But I do think that he is one of those guys where he can lead a team, you know, behind a good overall team to the playoffs and to the Super Bowl. We saw with the Rams, they had a great defense and a talented running back field. And we've seen it with a bunch of other guys, you know, Flacco. I'm trying to think about that. I mean, Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl. Like, there's a lot of guys that do that. So I think Goff is more or less that Kirk Cousins type quarterback where, yeah, he's not going to be the reason you get to the Super Bowl, but I think he could get you there behind a good team. And I think that that's what Detroit needs to do. Now, there's a couple of things that they can do here. Get another edge rusher. Kayvon Thibodeau would be a great pick. They can complete the offensive line with Ekwonu, but I don't really see that as a need. They've drafted corner so much that I don't think that they're going to do that. For me, and I know positional value is not where it needs to be, you know, based off of what people like, but I'm going to give him Kyle Hamilton. I think he's the best player in this class. I think that what he can do on a field is unmatched to a lot of people. Because he really can play pretty much every position on that defense, and he's going to do it at a high level. He's going to be a leader on that defense, which really that's what I'm looking for in Detroit. A guy like Dan Campbell, he likes those guys that are just, they want to be football players, they want to be there. I think Kyle Hamilton's that kind of guy. Yes, they could go with a Kayvon Thibodeau, but I like what I've seen from Okwara, both of them honestly. Charles Harris had a good year if they decide to keep him. You know, Trey Flowers is under contract. It's going to be hard to get off of that contract, so I think that there's enough edge rushers where if edge is a big position they want, I think that they can get one very talented in the 2nd round or 3rd round. Safety, though, there's no, it's Kyle Hamilton and then a very big drop off. It's like you think about when it was Kyler Murray in the draft class, and then the fall off was Daniel Jones, and then Drew Lock and Haskins and stuff. So I think that's what it is. Hamilton is in a league of his own. Take the best player on the board. Get talent for a team that, again, just needs talent, and a team that looked really good last year. They did not look as bad as the record was. A lot of games, you give them a field goal, and they win those games. So definitely really cool. Now here with the Houston Texans, again, another team that just needs talent. They seem, I stay involved with most teams' fan bases. I watch all the press conferences and such. Hearing Lovie Smith and Casero talk about Davis Mills, it seems like Davis Mills is going to be their guy. As much as I like Malik Willis going to Houston, because I think that he plays very similar to what Deshaun Watson does, I don't know if they'd really go quarterback here. I think that being that they are a defensive team, I think they're going to go and get Kayvon Thibodeau, him still being on the board. I think he's got such great upside. He's been the number one overall recruit. He's been basically the number one overall pick up until the draft process, to where now we're putting guys ahead of him, and he's going to be a monster. I really do think that. I know that Clowney didn't work out, but that's okay, because Myles Garrett has worked out just fine for the Browns, so it's not necessarily, we messed up once, never do it again. I think it's the right pick to go here. Now pick 4 for the Jets. I've gone back and forth with the New York Jets, because it's such a weird situation, because they have so much money, they have so much talent. They should want to help Zach Wilson, but also the defense needs a lot of help too. So it's a very odd situation. I think that if one of those 3 guys fell to 4, I'd take him automatically, because although they want to help Zach Wilson, the defense was not up to par. And yes, there was a lot of injuries. Carl Lawson, Marcus May, Mosley was out there finally for a lot of the season. But again, Quincy Williams was playing well, got injured. So I think that there's a lot of work to be done. They have Mekhi Becton. George Fant seems like he's going to be there. Offensive line help, though, I think that they can use the offensive line help. I just don't know. I don't know. So what I think we're going to do here is we're going to give him Evan Neal, because I think Evan Neal can slide over to right tackle, or Mekhi Becton can stay left tackle, or if maybe Mekhi plays better at the right or anything. And that gives you if George Fant is still there, great. Maybe move Evan Neal into guard, and see how he plays, and then move him to tackle when he's ready. Kind of like the Bengals did with Jonah Williams. They had him start off at guard and then moved him to tackle to where he is now. But yeah, Evan Neal to the Jets at pick 4. It just seems like a good pick there for the Jets. Now, Giants, I've gone back and forth. If you've seen my 7-round mock draft for them in my Giants offseason video, definitely go check that out. But where I'm at with the Giants is it's another situation where it's like you gotta rebuild the offensive line, but how are you gonna do that? Now, Ike Ekwonu, I think, is the easy pick here because of his versatility, where whether tackle situation gets figured out in free agency, or you want to move him into guard, and you want to, there's a lot of versatility. Like I've said multiple times, if you've heard me, I think that I think Andrew Thomas is a staple on the line, whatever tackle position you want to put him at. I think Shane Lemieux should be there at the guard position, and other than that, I'm okay with any other moves. I think Nick Gates should be the center because he's shown those flashes, but in reality, it's okay. But Billy Price had a great year. If we bring him back, cool, but he's a free agent. But like I said, Andrew Thomas, Shane Lemieux, those are the only 2 staples on the line, at least in my opinion, as long as Lemieux comes back as he looked in his rookie season for us. So Ike Ekwonu, he could slide into that right guard role, or maybe move Lemieux to center or right guard. He worked a lot at those his rookie year. So you can have the mean side of Ekwonu and Thomas, or you have Ike Ekwonu and Thomas at those tackle spots, Lemieux in the interior. Maybe you bring back Billy Price for the center role, and then you go out and you spend money on a good right guard. Or, hey, Trent Brown's a free agent, Terron Armstead's a free agent. Obviously, the money situation is not too good with the Giants, but, maybe you're able to do something with that. Also, it's a deep class, and you have a pick coming up next. You never know what's going to happen. So I like Ike Ekwonu here at pick 5, and we go from there. Pick 6, Carolina Panthers, man, this is one of the craziest picks, because I don't know what they'll do here. It doesn't seem like Carolina's a spot that a lot of the veteran quarterbacks want to go, and they're not going to. I don't think that Carolina gets any better, with Darnold, compared to if they go get Carson Wentz, if they go get Garoppolo, if they go get Trubisky or Mariota or Cam Newton, or I'm going to keep Cam Newton, I guess, but Winston, Bridgewater. Any of those guys, I just don't see them really moving the needle, I guess Jameis might be okay. He looked pretty good in New Orleans, and you'd steal him from that rival. But for me, man, there's a one pick here. He's my 11th prospect here, as you see it. Malik Willis. This is a team that does not need to. It doesn't want me to pick. Here we go. There we go. Malik Willis. Malik Willis is the prototypical current NFL type of quarterback. Can run the ball and improvise at a high level. Has the arm talent that, bar none, is going to be top 10 in the league as soon as he steps on the field. He needs to work on his accuracy. He needs to work on decision making. We've seen him get better at that, and obviously I think being with an NFL team would be good, but getting Malik Willis into a situation where he has Christian McCaffrey and Chuba Hubbard in the backfield, that's set up. He has a pretty solid offensive line that does need some more work, obviously, and they can work on that in the draft or free agency. But having DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall out there, I think that having a good enough offense around him can set him up well. And also, you picked up Darnold's option. It's $18 million that's on your books for this year and this year only. Malik doesn't have to start right away. You can start Darnold, and if Darnold starts to play well, he's going to get traded at the deadline for a good price. If he doesn't play well, you start Malik Willis, and Darnold's just one of the better backups in the league. So I like the Malik Willis pick here. Really resets the organization, and I think will give you that type of energy that Cam Newton brought. Obviously, Cam was one of the best quarterback prospects coming out in a long time. But pick 7 here for the Giants. There's a lot of things they can do, as we talked about. Tyler Linderbaum being on the board is very enticing. I like Linderbaum a lot. Like I said, he's our number 2 prospect on the board. Center isn't necessarily the biggest need, but again, can rebuild that line right away. That's where the question comes in, is that the right pick? Another pick is the corner position. James Bradbury's most likely gone just because of how big his contract is. So getting one of these guys to be able to step in and become that, star corner or replace that depth, I think will do a lot to keep this defense good. Wink Martindale, new defensive coordinator, loves to have a lot of corners and be able to cycle them out. Personally, I think it's a great spot for the Giants to trade down. Even though it's an interdivision thing, if you're able to trade down with maybe 2 of the first from the Eagles or something to that effect, maybe a high second and something else, I think that's something I would look at definitely, because there's a lot of things. Nakobe Dean is here. There's a lot of help that can happen, offensive line. So I think that Charles Cross is very enticing because he's a pass first guy. Pass protection, move Ike Kwame to the guard. I think that's a great situation. Obviously, Tyler Linderbaum is one of the best players in the draft, talent-wise. Derek Stingley, not having to come in and be that number 1 corner right away, would be very enticing. They need help on the edge. Ojulari did good, but they still need some more help. You look at guys like Karl Aftis, you look at Trayvon Walker or Jabo, Jermaine Johnson. These are all guys that are good. But again, I think that there's good enough players in that second round. For me, I think this is a team that just needs to get leaders, get identity, and what I'm going to do for them is I'm going to give them Nakobe Dean. This is the first time I've given them a linebacker in the first round, top 7, but Nakobe Dean is athletic. He can really cover the whole field. Obviously, he's a little undersized, but he still plays bigger than that. He's a top 10 prospect for me. I really like what Nakobe Dean brings, and because Blake Martinez is another guy that's probably going to be cut due to that cap, they might be able to bring Jalen Smith back, but he can play outside, especially depending on what Wink wants to do with the roster and how he wants to, run it. But I think Nakobe Dean is going to be able to just dominate that interior and really take away a lot and become that leader on the defense. So right here, you helped out your offensive line. You've helped out the defense a ton as well. Now you're going into that second round and saying, hey, we can do whatever we need to. We can help out the offensive line. If there's a lineman that falls, we can get an edge rusher because there's a lot of them. A corner maybe. Gives a lot of versatility. I like the Nakobe Dean pick. Again, the linebacker position is pretty solid, but I think Dean and Lloyd are kind of in a class of their own. Harris is pretty close, but still a little far away. After that, it's kind of a toss-up. So I know we're taking a little bit of time. So again, if you guys are enjoying the content, please be sure to leave a like. This is going to be a longer video. I like to talk about the prospects. I know I need to get better at kind of wrapping it up quicker, but if you guys are enjoying the content, please be sure to leave a like. Helps out a ton. And let me know who you want your team to pick. This is obviously going to be a long video, so also let me know if you're sticking around. And one of my favorite things to know is, what are you guys doing when you're watching the video? A lot of times if I'm playing Madden or if I'm having a meal, I like to put these things on in the background, mock drafts and such. So let me know if that's something you do, or maybe there's something else you're doing. So yeah, here at pick 8 for the Falcons, another team that, again, just needs talent. They really do. We've seen all these team needs, obviously, like, you look down here, it's like, oh, wow, like, tight ends down here. Tight end is kind of, but all these needs down here, it's like, wow, they don't really need linebacker or corner. Like, no, these are all very high needs. The Falcons are not looking like a good team right now. They just don't seem to have a real identity. which is kind of the odd spot for them. But here at pick 8, there's no quarterback I'm taking. Matt Ryan's going to be there for a couple more years. So at this point, let's just help out and just get this team a little bit better. There's a lot of things they could do here. I think that Linderbaum, I think any of the receivers are going to be in talks, edge rushing and such. But for me, I think that Derek Stingley is going to be the pick here. Again, another guy with high upside. One of the highest upsides. He could have been the number 1 overall pick if he was as good as he was his freshman year for the next 2 years and didn't have the injuries. But getting a guy like Stingley to pair with A.J. Terrell on that defense, I think that is going to be perfect for him. Be that number 2. You're instantly going to have one of the best young duos in the NFL at that corner position. I think that's going to help out a ton on that defensive side. Here for the Broncos, I'm not saying that they're getting Rodgers. It seems like Rodgers might even stay with Green Bay. But I'm not going to take quarterback. Again, I just don't see many quarterbacks other than Malik Willis being a top, worth a top pick, because a lot of them just don't seem like that type of, in reality, I think this class is kind of Kyler Murray's class without Kyler Murray. Malik Willis is comparative to me like Daniel Jones was looked at, taken there. And then other than that, guys are going to start falling. I kind of see that class as this, where yes, they could be good, but also I'm not going to bet on them as much. So here for Denver, they kind of need a good amount of things, but yet at the same time, they only need a few pieces. It's a weird spot where it's like they're picking top 10 for a reason, but a couple more pieces, they could have been a really good playoff team. So we're going to help them out here. They went and they got Patrick Surtain last year, who was awesome. One of the best rookies. Looked great. He was my favorite corner prospect last year coming into the draft, so was definitely a big fan. I don't think edge is as big of a need. I definitely do think they need it, but Bradley Chubb, I still believe in Bradley Chubb, and I think that this team, they can do more than they've shown. For me, I'm gonna give them Sauce Gardner. It's the same thing with the Falcons. I think that just getting them one of the youngest and best duos in the league at corner is gonna do so much for them. To be able to lock down in that secondary, you still have Justin Simmons obviously there. It's just I like Sauce Gardner a lot. I think that he deserves to go here. Other guys I'd look at is Devin Lloyd to control that middle with A.J. Johnson being a free agent. Jordan Davis just to take away the entire middle. Other than that, though, I would look towards, maybe some edge help. I don't really have too many edge rushers too high, but Trayvon Walker, Jabo, etc. Here with the Jets, obviously we already took Evan Neal for them, so that's a big offensive help. So you theoretically want to look at the defense, but with Gardner and Stingley gone, I don't think that they look at any of the corners. Linebacker not too big. Jordan Davis I don't think would fit necessarily what they do. But here, there's a lot of good offensive linemen. But for me, the connection we've seen all offseason, and I'm not saying that he's necessarily my number 1 guy as you see here, but Drake London and the Jets has just seemed like a mix that they've wanted. So we're going to give it to him. Zach Wilson now has a new weapon to pair with Corey Davis and Elijah Moore. And it gives them the versatility where if they lose out on Crowder, Cole, and Barrios in free agency, they now have 3 good receivers who I think are all very different, but also can do a lot of the same things. And this is just going to be a good offense to where, there's not really an excuse for Zach Wilson to not be able to get those ball to those guys with how creative his arm is. So here at pick 11, Washington is in a great spot here because they could take a quarterback of any of their choosing. They could take a receiver pretty much of any of their choosing. Anything that they really need to help out with, they can get here, and I think that's awesome for them. For me, I think it's a weird spot because of the fact that, again, none of these quarterbacks are necessarily big for me. I'm not looking at any of these guys as huge. Personally, it's just kind of one of those weird spots. So yeah, Matt Corral could be a pick, but for me, I think that they would be a team that would benefit from getting a guy like a Wentz or a Garoppolo, etc. in free agency. I think that those are really good spots for them. For me, this defense is pretty much stellar. So the only places they would need to go is on the offense. So they have their pick of receivers. There's not really a tight end I would go with, and Logan Thomas is getting paid a good amount. But this is a team that doesn't have the most set offensive line, especially if Brandon Sheriff is gone, which is yet to be seen. So for me, I think that you look at it, Sam Cosmi has potential. I think Charles Leno is their left tackle and such right now. But for me, this is a team that needs to get Terry McLaurin the ball. Antonio Gibson's one of the best receiving running backs. I'm going to give him Charles Cross, who is just an absolute monster in the pass game. He's good in the run game, but a monster in the pass game. And really, you can move him, around. I think you can move Cosmi around as well. But just get somebody who's going to dominate in that pass blocking situation. because this is a team that really needs to get Terry the ball. It needs to be able to have some time, so whether it's Heineke or somebody else, can really create. So I like pretty much any offensive line prospect. Again, this is before free agency. It's the day after the Super Bowl, so no one knows what's happening with, the free agents that are on the team. Eric Flowers frees up $10 million if they cut him, so will be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, like Charles Cross going to them. There's a bunch of different guys that could go as well. Here for the Vikings, interesting, very interesting. They have Michael Pierce. Dalvin Tomlinson, I believe, is still on contract for them as well. So I don't think Jordan Davis, as much as I like Jordan Davis, I don't think that is as big of a need as they're saying. Safety is, but again, no safety I'm seeing here other than like maybe Daxton Hill, but I don't see him going 12. And ironically, this offensive line got really, really pretty good the past couple of years. So nothing really too huge for me. I'm taking Trent McDuffie for them. They've sucked with corners for a while. I think they need to pay somebody. There's a deep corner free agency class. I think you get at least 2 of them and get a McDuffie, who I really just like McDuffie a lot. He plays a lot bigger than he is. He loves to tackle. He's one of my favorite prospects in this class. He rose up on my boards very quickly once I started to watch him. So here at pick 13, I'm with this because they say wide receiver is not as big of a team need, and I completely agree for the simple fact that the Browns didn't use Odell. Landry hasn't played as good. Callaway never panned out. Peoples-Jones has looked okay certain games. Higgins has looked okay certain games. They just don't use receiving, and why would you when you have Chubb and Hunt as your backfield? Hooper's going to be your tight end still. So for me, it's, just build up this team. You have Owosu Koromoa, and you have the opportunity to get the best at, or arguably the best at each of their positions, and Jordan Davis and Devin Lloyd here. For me, I like what they have in their linebacker core. It's young, and yes, it could benefit a lot from Devin Lloyd, but I'm going to give him Jordan Davis here because he's an absolute monster in the middle. So to be able to completely take away the interior and also have Clowney and Garrett on the outside, I don't even want to think about how scary that would be, especially when you look at the division that they're in. Lamar Jackson is a threat to run the ball. You look at the Steelers, Najee Harris, without knowing what the quarterback situation is, Najee Harris is going to be a monster for them as well. And I don't know why I can't think of the other team that's in the division. The Bengals, Joe Mixon, obviously. They're Super Bowl contenders. So you need to be able to keep that pressure going. Jordan Davis, I think, fits very well. Pick 14 here. I'm not going to think too much about it just for the simple fact that they do have a lot of needs, definitely. But I'm going to give him Tyler Linderbaum. Just because I think that he can play center guard or whatever, but he's the best offensive lineman in this class. He just, positional value, but help Lamar, man. Just get him talent. Another guy I could see them going here is, he'll be right down here, actually, Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. I think he fits very well as well, but Tyler Linderbaum, I think, is a great pick for them here. Now, at pick 15, Devin Lloyd is going to be instant pick for them, for the Eagles, because they need linebacker help. They've neglected it for so long, and one of the best is on the board still. And another guy that they're going to take here, just due to the fact that they have options, is they're going to get a guy with high upside, and David Ojabo at 16. Can benefit from learning from guys like Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, if they're on the roster still. But get somebody that can be dominant off the edge. He's still raw, but this is a younger team that's going to develop and such as well. I think that Ojabo gives you that chance to do so. So I really do like Ojabo here for them. Now you go here at pick 17 for the Chargers, another team that really should be in the playoffs. It's crazy that they're picking at pick 17. But yeah, there's not really a set pick for them. For me, I like a couple players here, and offensive tackle, like, yes, you could get a Trevor Penning. Rashawn Slater is very well. But this is the first time I'm not necessarily the most concerned about offensive line. For me, I'm more concerned about this receiver position because Mike Will's probably going to hit free agency, and they led the league in drops. Everyone has heard it. So I think they need a receiver. Now, Keenan Allen is one of the most pure receivers in the NFL. He's a top 10 receiver for sure. He catches the ball. He doesn't drop it, unlike his guys. And he's a pure route runner. He really can just break down defenders. So I think you need somebody like that Mike Williams who can really go and get the ball and can just have that upside of a lot. And that's Treylon Burks, who's my number one receiver. You get him to pair with Keenan. Even if you bring Mike Will back, now you have 3 good receivers. And I think Treylon Burks would just absolutely kill it with a guy like Justin Herbert. To have 2 weapons like that are on cheap deals with Herbert and Burks, I love that a lot for the Chargers. Here for the Saints, man. The Saints can really do a lot because no one knows what is going to be happening with this team. They have so much money locked into players and nothing really to show for it. They're going to lose Marcus Williams. They're going to lose Terron Armstead unless they franchise tag one of these guys. Marshall Lattimore's making like $27 million because of how much they pushed it back, hoping Breeze would get them one more. So for me, they need to replace Terron Armstead, obviously. I like Trevor Penning more as a right tackle than a left tackle. But yeah, they need a lot here, and there's no set thing. So I think that you need a cheap quarterback for me, and the next best guy for me is Matt Corral. Ironically, I think that as much as some of these guys helped or hurt their stock in the Senior Bowl, Matt Corral not being able to be there, I think might have helped him. He wouldn't have been there anyway because of the injury, but yeah, I just think that he has the ability to go in there and just kind of take the offense and do the best with it. You're going to get Michael Thomas back. It says he's healthy. Kamara, hopefully, maybe he's going to be suspended. We don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, he's on the field for you, but good offensive line. Troutman's going to be there. So it's like, I think getting a quarterback now on a cheap deal is going to help out because you need the money. So in reality, it's more of a financial pick than anything. But get Matt Corral. I think that he'll be able to be a solid starting quarterback for the Saints. Now, pick 19, we already got Ojabo and Devin Lloyd. They need offensive line to replace the great Brandon Brooks, who retired. And luckily, one of the best offensive guards is still on the board here at 19 in Kenyon Green. We're not even going to think twice about it. He's going to be the right guard there. Pick 20 for the Steelers. Could they go quarterback here? Definitely. Will they? I think they're going with a veteran. It said Mike Tomlin likes Haskins. Personally, I can't say that Haskins would be better or worse than anybody here. So as much as I like some of the guys in this draft class, I don't think quarterback's the spot. I think Tomlin does want to keep competing. For me, they need offensive line help completely, no matter what offensive line help. And for me, as much as I like Trevor Penning, I'm going to give him Zion Johnson, who just absolutely was a monster at the Senior Bowl. I really like what Zion can do. And there's no real wrong answer, but they need to help that offensive line because they went from being one of the best to one of the worst very quickly. Here for the Patriots, though, a lot of options here. A lot of options. They can do a ton. And truthfully, there's no set situation for them as well. Edge rushing with Jermaine Johnson or Trayvon Walker is big. Receivers, you still got Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson. Offensive line, if they want to let Trent Brown go, Trevor Penning can be a replacement, but they have good offensive linemen as well. Corners are still on the board. Linebackers as well. So a lot of good guys here. For me, I think that what I'm going to do is a guy that I have slightly outside of my... Oh, no, he's back in the first... I did move him back up in the first round. I'm going to give him Andrew Booth Jr. I like Kaiir Elam more, but his injuries are a little bit concerning. But the Patriots are a team that they like to draft corners and develop them, and then when they get good, not pay them. We've seen this a lot. So Gilmore's obviously gone. I don't know if J.C. Jackson will be brought back, truthfully, but Jonathan Jones will still be there. Andrew Booth is going to be probably the best corner going into next year as long as they don't re-sign J.C. Jackson. I think receivers is a deep class. Don't worry about it. I think that they also have a good receiving core. They just need that star. And as much as I like a lot of these guys here, I don't see them going first-round receiver after what N'Keal Harry did to them because they made the playoffs without it, Mac Jones threw it 2 times and they won. So I think it's okay for them not to do it. Raiders here at pick 22, another team that really can do a lot and help out a ton. For me, Trayvon Walker is really big because he can play edge or defensive tackle. Devontae Wyatt is a good spot for me. I really like the interior defensive line look. Really on the interior offensive line, Kennard, Ingram, Ryan, those are the guys I'm looking at, but I'm not too concerned about. So it's kind of a weird spot for them. The tragic situation with Ruggs does create a hole at receiver. So getting a guy like Williams, Wilson, one of these guys, it's all enticing. Truthfully, everything here is enticing. For me, I think you go with, I don't know. This is a tough one. You know what? This is a tough one. This really is. Corner, I feel like they've actually done pretty well at corner. I don't really see corner being a top need for them. Oh, man. All right. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them, it's either going to be Logan Hall or Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt, 6'3", 315. Logan Hall, 6'6", 275. I'm going to give him Logan Hall. I like Logan Hall a lot. I think he should be a first-round pick. Versatility, depending on what happens with Ngakoue. His contract situation soon, but he can play on that interior. He can play on the outside. I think the versatility is going to be good for them. You could go Devontae. There's a lot of things they could do there. There's no real wrong pick, honestly. But yeah, I'm going to give him Logan Hall. It just seems like a pretty solid pick for them. Cardinals here, they need help. pretty much in every way possible. I'm going to give them Jermaine Johnson, the Senior Bowl standout, because I think Chandler Jones should be gone, and I think Jermaine Johnson will fill in that hole pretty well alongside J.J. Watt. Other than that, if he was off the board, I think Karlaftis would be a great pick for them. Cowboys here at 24. They need a safety, which is great. There's safeties on the board. They need edge help. Great. There's edge rushers on the board. Tight end play, receivers. Yeah, they anything that they do need, I think that they can get here, which is interesting. But for me personally, Trevor Penning is very enticing because you can move Lyle back into the inside. And I think I kind of want to do that because this offensive line has really just been a tragedy. But Trayvon Walker, I think, we probably have to go Trayvon Walker, huh? I like Penning a lot, though. This is hard. This is really hard. I'm gonna give him Trevor Penning. Him being at 24, I like him. I think he moved Lyle back into the guard position. I think there's more versatility there. Tyron Smith, no one knows how long he's gonna play. His injuries are always a factor too. So, yeah, I just think Penning is a solid pick here for them. They could go Trayvon Walker as well, or D tackle, but definitely there. So corner is a need here for the Bills. Defensive line help as well. I think that they just have young talent that hasn't fully reached their potential yet. So I'm going to give them Trayvon Walker because he can play inside, outside. I think that just versatility, he'll be able to find a way to get into that lineup. Pick 26 here. This is a team that needs receiving help, man. It really does. We saw how big of a hole it was. Obviously, they need tight end as well, so Trey McBride could be in play. Corners, they're young corners, so you don't know what's going to happen with them. I don't think adding another injury-riddled college career in Elam will fit with the guys that they have. So, yeah, offensive tackle, Bernard Raymond is a good pick here. But we're going to be going with the receiver here. There's some of the best on the board. I'm going to give them Garrett Wilson. I think that he's just an all-around great player. And he's going to help out that team a lot. Yeah, it's pretty simple there. So, for the Buccaneers, another team that's just in a spot where they could do a lot. I'm going to give him Bernard Raymond. Whether you're getting a quarterback or not, you need to protect him. Donovan Smith's getting up there in age. No one, Wirfs is obviously a monster, but no one really knows what else is happening with the offensive line. I think Raymond's going to help him out a lot and help out whoever is the quarterback, whether Tom comes back, as people are saying, or not. Pick 28 here for the Packers, another team that's in cap hell, so they just need to get somebody that can really help them out. I don't necessarily think that there's one or more that's more important than another. I'm gonna give him Karlaftis. He just seems like he fits pretty well with them, especially because one of the Smith brothers, if not both, are probably gonna be gone to make space. So yeah, Karlaftis is good for Miami. I think that ironically you're getting another wide receiver from Alabama to help out with Tua and Jalen Waddle, and I think it's gonna go well. I really do, because seeing how the connection from Tua and Waddle was, seeing the connection from Burrow and Chase, I really like that for them, and they need receiver help as along with other things. But because there's no secure offensive lineman still on the board, I think that's the best spot for them. Here at pick 30, Chiefs are another team that could use a offensive weapon as well, with guys set to hit the market. But for me, I'm gonna give him Arnold Ebiketie, one of my favorites in this class. I think he's for sure a first-round pick. And yeah, Frank Clark just isn't what he was paid to do. Personally, that's really what it is. So here for the Bengals, offensive tackle is a need. Not any that are necessarily definites for me. It's you need an offensive lineman though, but it's one of those spots where it's is there one that can really be that for you? I can't say that there is. I really can't. So I still think that you probably have to go offensive line no matter what. Kennard is a good pick. Ryan is I'm going to give him Sean Ryan. I think he can move around. Not ideal. Obviously, you'd want one of those other guys that has been taken already, but Ryan can play tackle or inside. I like him a lot at inside, but really you can move him around, and this is a team that just needs help everywhere. So, yeah, for the Lions, we already got them Kyle Hamilton here. They're in a good spot because there's a lot of guys still here. For me, you look at it, and again, it's another team that just it needs help all around. They're pretty much getting 2 picks in a row. So when you look at it, let's compare. Basically, is what we're gonna do. Receivers, it's a drop off from Olave to the next group. Edge rushing, it's not that big of a drop off comparatively if the Jaguars decide to go with one of those guys. But for me, We know the Jags got an edge rusher. They're not going to take another one. You're going to take Chris Olave here. It's the best case scenario. Chris Olave, you get another receiver to pair with Amon-Ra and whoever else may stay or go in that offense. I think that's good. So now here for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think that the best case scenario for them is to get the safety from Michigan, Daxton Hill, who really can play any safety spot. Brisker, I like pretty much as much. They're pretty much yin and yang for me. And then here, because of that choice, Boye Mafe is on the board still for the Lions. Now they have an edge rusher, they have a superstar safety, and they have a weapon. I think it's a great draft for the Lions so far. So here for the New York Jets, this is a team that, again, needs some help all around. Now, there's a lot of defensive talent here, and for that reason, we're going to go Trey McBride because they cannot afford to not have a tight end coming into this next year. Giants, they got a linebacker. They got an offensive tackle. So now you have that ability to, do we want to go with a corner? Do we want to go with some offensive weapons? There's a lot of interior offensive linemen that are on the board. So for me, the guy that I like the most, and I'm a little bit higher on him than others, and I think he's going to grade well, is Ed Ingram. Really solid guard, especially in pass protection, I believe. He's just really, I don't know, man. I like Ingram a lot. He sat out because of off the field stuff. So I think that now that this is resolved, that's why he's not as high as he would be. But the guy is just really good. You look at when you have Saquon Barkley, you need somebody that's going to help, and he's able to pull well. It's just he's athletic, he's big. I like Ed Ingram a lot. There's no wrong answer, but I just think that's a good pick. Corner is obviously a good pick as well. There's a lot of them though. I think that this is such a deep corner class. A third-round pick would look like a second in other drafts. Here at 37, we got an edge rusher in Kayvon Thibodeau for the Texans. Again, this is a team that just needs talent overall. So you got that. I think that safety would help. A corner obviously would help as well. But for me, I think you need weapons. And there's just not as many as you'd want. You could go with one of the better running backs in this class. Oh, man, this is tough. Kaiir Elam is very enticing. Brisker is very enticing. Man, what will the Texans do with this pick? They liked offensive line, so maybe they go offensive line here. Davis Mills, help them out. Man, we're gonna go with Kyler Gordon, the corner out of Washington. I just think he's more set right now. You know what you're gonna get out of him, and I think that's what the Texans need because they can't afford to draft bust with these top picks, man. They really can't. So here at 38, the Jets have gotten all offense. They still need edge help. They still need safety help, especially as well. And Jaquan Brisker's on the board. I like him a lot. I think he's going to kind of go into that free safety role more because Ashton Davis just doesn't fit the scheme necessarily. I like Cine from Georgia if you just want a hard-hitting safety, which they might. But there's a lot of moving around that they can do. Here for the Bears, man. Another team that needs receiving help but also needs offensive line help. For me, I think that they're going to go after a guy like Darian Kennard. Actually, Petit Frere is still on the board. Yeah, let's go Petit Frere. They just need offensive line help, protect your franchise investment in Justin Fields. You traded up for him. You lost your first-round pick this year because of it. Go after that guy. Again, we've talked about how the Broncos don't necessarily need that quarterback, in my opinion, although there is very solid quarterback still on the board. I just don't think that that's going to be the case for them. We got them a corner already, so that's not going to be a need necessarily. I'm going to give them Christian Harris at Alabama. Very good in coverage. A.J. Johnson's probably going to be a free agent if I had to guess. And although there's a lot of young linebacking options on that team, I think a guy like Christian Harris is going to go out there and be able to cover pretty much any part of the field and really help out in that sense. Here for the Seahawks, it's the same situation, just another year. You need offensive line help. You need edge help. It's been the case for years and years and years. You also need to replace Shaquille Griffin, his hole. So a guy like Elam is very intriguing as well. What's going to make Russ happy is the problem. Kennard is a very... I think they go Kennard here. It's a big drop-off to the next group of interior offensive linemen, or just linemen in general. So I think that might be the best pick. We went out there. We got Washington offensive line help. Now I think is a good time for them to address their skill positions in receiver, corner, or also look at that quarterback position. I think they got that veteran type quarterback, but a guy like Kenny Pickett's still on the board here in the second round. I think you see what you can get out of him because he has that upside. The hands are a factor, but I like him a lot. I think that he can, in the second round is a good value for him. I don't see him as a top 15 player like some people see him. When it started to rain in the Senior Bowl and he had to take those gloves off, he did not look as good as he should. Sam Howell was fumbling a lot. Desmond Ridder looked the best. So if you do get a veteran, maybe you want to let him develop a little bit behind. But yeah, Kenny Pickett's a good spot there. I think that Elam is a good spot, receiving as well. There's a ton that they could do here. For the Falcons here, offensive tackle, still a need. Edge is still a need. Safety still a need. I think that, Cine coming off the board here maybe is nice. Receiving help, we don't know what's going to happen with Ridley. Man, Pickens, Dotson on the board. Frank Darby, I think, is going to be solid, going up. But I think you got to get one of those surefire guys. George Pickens is going to be my pick here. Big body, he's going to win those 50-50 balls. Was hurt. That's why he's not as high as other people have him. But, when he came back, he looked phenomenal. I think he's one of the best receivers in this class, personally. Browns here at 44. A team that says they need a quarterback. Not really. They're not big on corner. We already got an interior defensive lineman for them. So receiver would be a good spot for them to go. Linebacker would be a good spot. They're good on safety for me. So this is kind of an interesting spot. I think edge rusher is probably their next best thing. Let's get Amajay Sanders from Cincinnati. Just help out in general. So here for the Ravens, lot of defensive linemen still on the board here for them, and a big need for them. So Perrion Winfrey is one of the guys that just had an amazing Senior Bowl, but Devontae Wyatt, I think, is just too far deep on the board. He should not have fell this far. That's where they're going to go. Here for the Vikings, another team that I think could use some help at that receiver spot because it kind of falls off pretty quickly. Jahan Dotson's a fringe first-rounder. I think that he'll help out a ton. Thielen's not getting any younger. This is a team that needs to retool, and I think that's the best way to do it. There's another team that could use a retooling in the Colts. They could use some edge rush help as well. Do you want to go with a guy like an Agri or Thomas or something? I don't know. I think that because he's still on the board here, I think here Elam has fallen far enough. Get some corner help. Kenny Moore is a beast. But I think here Elam being healthy, I think he could be that number one type corner. Here for the Chargers, again, not really a offensive tackle prospect that's huge. Falele, I don't know if you want him as your left tackle, but it definitely could be something. Corner, McCreary still on the board, obviously, but interior defensive line and edge rushing is the big spots to look at. I'm going to give him Perrion Winfrey, MVP of the Senior Bowl. Everyone talked about how great of a kid this kid is, so really like Winfrey here. Again, if you guys are still here, 40-plus minutes in, please be sure to leave a like. Let me know what you've been doing this whole time. I really do appreciate it. Here at 49, again, the team just needs help. This is that spot where I think Falele comes off the board. Because, Ramchek's making a lot of money. Armstead's going to be gone. No one knows what's going to happen with this team. So just get some offensive line help. Just build those positions, man. Here at pick 50, this is interesting. Running back is a big need, and I like Spiller here for them. Offensive line, though, is still, I just don't see a way you can go with a running back and not have a set offensive line. I like Max Mitchell a lot. He's been rising up boards for me. Do I like him more than Rasheed Walker, though? That's the question. They're kind of similar. I'm going to give them, I don't know. They can't afford to miss on any offensive line. I think I'm going to say that they go into free agency and they address the offensive line situation. And I'm going to go ahead and give them... do we just double up on Alabama receivers? No, I'm going to go ahead and give him Isaiah Spiller. There's a lot of things they could do. I'm just going to give him Isaiah Spiller. I like Spiller a lot. He's my number one running back. There's a lot of things that the Dolphins could do. There's a lot of things they could do. I don't know. There's no wrong answer for them. Here at 51, we've seen the Eagles already come out with very solid talent. We know how good their draft has been to this point. But they need help at that offensive side of the ball, man. They really do. And you get guys like John Mechie on the board, David Bell, Tolbert, Christian Watson still on the board. I think that those are good spots. What I'm going to do here, though, is give him David Bell. Big-bodied receiver, 6'2", 205. I think that he'll complement Devontae Smith a lot and help out a ton. Here for the Steelers, whether they get a franchise quarterback in free agency is to be seen, but a guy like Roger McCreary still being on the board I think is a great pick for them here. For the Raiders, we already got them Trayvon Walker, who's kind of going to play that interior or, he kind of plays both of that sense. So, there's not really that need. But you could add another one in Leal or Mathis and such. Travis Jones up here as well. For me, I think that they got to get some more weapons for Carr. The team it's been solid, but I kind of want to reach on a guy like Christian Watson because of how great he played. But Tolbert also played well, 6'3", 190. Man, I think that we go Jalen Tolbert here. Younger, or not younger, a lesser known prospect than others, but really I think that he just had such a great Senior Bowl. I think that he can really turn into a solid receiver alongside Edwards and Renfro as well. 54 here for the Patriots. This is a team that really can use, again, anything around, honestly. I like linebacker, Damon Clark, Brandon Smith. Beavers is big here too. Oh, man. But I also like John Mechie going to them. We know the Saban and Belichick connection. I'm gonna go against it. I'm gonna go linebacker here. I'm gonna trust my board and say Damon Clark is gonna be the selection here. I like Beavers a lot. All these guys are really solid, but I'm gonna go with Damon Clark here. The Cardinals are now on the spot, and another team that they needs corner help, but Pritchett maybe. There's not Kendrick. There's not really a guy that I'm in love with here. I love Marcus Jones, but he can't. He's more of a slot guy. I don't know if you want to take that spot here. I think that they're going to re-sign Ertz, so I don't think tight end's necessarily the biggest need. Receiving help they could use because this has been a shaky team. But also when you look at it, the offensive line is not getting any younger. So you could go with one of these guys. Oh man. Linebackers, not a need. Safety is kind of a need, but not really. I think you just go with a corner. I guess, yeah, corner. Let's just go with, Kendrick, Pritchett. Let's just go. He's my top guy. Or no, Woolen came up pretty high. Where they have Woolen ranked right now? Because he's a big corner. 4th round. Okay, let's go with Marcus Jones, and they're going to hope that they can get Woolen in their next pick because Marcus Jones, I think, is one of the best players in this class. If he was 2 inches taller, he'd be one of the best corners in this class, according to everybody. Cowboys here, though, pick 56. They could use a ton of help here. They took offensive linemen, so getting a defensive tackle like a DeMarvin Leal would definitely help that interior. But a guy like Cena would really help out as well. But I'm going to give him Leal out of Texas A&M. You just need to help him out. Paid 57 for the Bills. Can kind of do a lot here. Corner, receiver, running back. Do they want to go after one of these guys? I think Singletary looked good enough you don't have to force it. But yeah, I'm going to give him Louis Cine because, Poyer, I think, is on the last year of his deal going into the next year. So Cena can replace him, but also you can just kind of put him in there in different sets. He's a good tackler. Put him in the box. Just help out the defense even more. Because in reality, they could add a receiver, definitely. But I don't know. I think just get some more help in that secondary. Get one of the better players that's fell and just add talent to an already talented roster. Here at 58, Falcons could use a lot. This is a spot where I really do like a guy like Desmond Ridder coming off the board and developing behind Matt Ryan. Late 2nd round pick, see what you get out of him. Here for the Packers, they got to go with somebody. Christian Watson's really good, but I'm going to go with John Mechie here out of Alabama. I just think that him being on the board, I think it's a good spot for him to come off, man, honestly. Pick 60 here. Quarterback again, Sam Howell, Carson Strong, possibilities to go to Tampa, but in reality, I like Trask more than I like these guys if they were in the same class, so I'm not going to go there. Fournette, I think, is going to come back. I don't see them going here. Again, corner. They could go after one of these guys, but I'm not necessarily sold on it. Safety, again, not huge. Petre maybe, but I think they'll re-sign. I think we're gonna go Kingsley Enagbare from South Carolina, you just get some more help. A lot of those older guys are gonna be free agents and probably not be brought back. 49ers first pick. Really, they're such a good team, man. They really are. I don't think there's anything that they can necessarily do to completely revamp this team or make it insanely better. So receiver help could help out, more depth for that. And that's why I'm going to give him a guy with such high upside in Christian Watson. I really like how big he is, 6'5", 208, and how much he dominated and looked poised and NFL ready at the Senior Bowl. I like him, add him to Ayuk. And if Debo's playing running back or receiver, I think that's going to help out a lot. Here at 62 for the Chiefs, this is another team that just kind of could use help pretty much all around every side of the ball. We're going to give him Brandon Smith here. Just a big fan of Brandon Smith. Offensive tackle is still a need here. Tight end is probably going to be a need, but we've seen things like Gronkowski wants to come play. Linebacker still a need. Let's give them. Do we want Babers or do we want to give them a guy like a Max Mitchell? Let's give him Max Mitchell out of Louisiana. I like him a ton for them. Edge rushing is still a need here for the Broncos, as well as safety, maybe a running back, but they have Javonte Williams, so I don't really think that's a need. Quarterback, Sam Howell still on the board. I don't know. I kind of like what they have here. Let's go with Drake Jackson out of USC. And that's the end of the 2-round pick. So, yeah, of course, if you guys are 50 minutes in, 51 minutes in, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought about the 2-round mock draft. Again, this was all just looking at the screen and doing it live. So, there's no preparation. But we'll run through it again. Jaguars, helping out Josh Allen on the other side with Aiden Hutchinson. Kyle Hamilton being the new leader of the Detroit Lions. Thibodeau starting off that defensive rebuild with Lovie Smith. Evan Neal going to add to that Jets offensive line as they look to help out Zach Wilson. Ike Ekwonu and Nakobe Dean go to the New York Giants, becoming leaders on both sides of the ball. Malik Willis being the new face of the franchise in Carolina. Derek Stingley pairing alongside A.J. Terrell, making one of the nastiest duos in the league in Atlanta. Denver picking up one of the best corners. Again, same thing with Stingley, having a dynamic young duo with him and Surtain. Drake London adding to that help that Evan Neal is doing and giving the best weapons to Zach Wilson. Moving down, Charles Cross helping out that offensive line here for Washington, helping the pass game out. Trent McDuffie's going to be that corner that the Vikings have been searching for years. Jordan Davis, interior defensive lineman, who is going to absolutely destroy the middle while Garrett and Clowney take care of the rest. Tyler Linderbaum is going to be a versatile interior offensive lineman to move around and protect Lamar Jackson and the rest of the running backs who have all dealt with injuries. Eagles had a couple picks here. We're going to say all three of them, but getting a guy like Devin Lloyd and Ojabo to really recreate that defense into what it was in that Super Bowl run and also replace the legendary Brandon Brooks with Kenyon Green is awesome. Chargers add a weapon, arguably the best in the class, in Treylon Burks. Saints get a new franchise centerpiece, as they hope, in Matt Corral. And Zion Johnson leads the rebuild of the offensive line in Pittsburgh. As well as you go down here, Patriots, Andrew Booth, just another corner in a long list of great Patriot corners. Logan Hall can add that versatility, play interior, outside on that Raiders defensive line, most likely going to plug in that middle, though. Jermaine Johnson replacing Chandler Jones on the outside, going to be that wrecking ball on the outside with J.J. Watt. Trevor Penning helping, again, retool that offensive line that really did not help out too much this year for the Cowboys. Bills adding an interior/outside, again, another guy that's versatile in Trevon Walker. Titans get one of the best receivers in the class, one of the most polished receivers in the class in Garrett Wilson. Buccaneers add offensive line help in Bernard Raymond. Packers are getting a guy in Karlaftis who's really going to replace what one of the Smith brothers is probably not going to get paid. Jamison Williams, another Alabama, to the Alabama Dolphins. Kansas City Chiefs are going to end off the first round, or close to end off the first round, not end of the first round. So used to saying that. With Arnold Ebiketie out of Penn State, they need edge help with Frank Clark. Him and Chris Jones will be monsters. Then to end the first round, Sean Ryan to the Bengals because they need offensive line help, and Chris Olave to the Lions. Then we'll go over to round two and go through it quick. Daxton Hill is going to be the new centerpiece at the top of the defense for Jacksonville as Boye Mafe leads the edge help in Detroit. Jets get another weapon for Zach Wilson, Trey McBride. They're saying there's no reason Zach Wilson does not get that improvement year two. Ed Ingram for the Giants, a little bit of a reach for the Giants, but they need that interior protection, and this is a guy who's going to get Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones all around the field. Houston Texans add Kyler Gordon with Kayvon Thibodeau, retooling this defense for Lovie Smith. We go to those next picks, Jaquan Brisker playing that safety role that Marcus May is going to leave for the Jets. Any offensive line help would be help for the Bears. That's why Petit Frere is going to come from Ohio State. Christian Harris is going to lead that middle, while A.J. Johnson probably hits free agency for Denver. Seattle adding some more interior help with Darian Kennard as well. Washington lucks out, gets Kenny Pickett all the way at pick 42 to hopefully be their franchise quarterback and fight with a veteran quarterback for that starting job. George Pickens is going to be that big, deep threat receiver, and hopefully is able to pair with Ridley and Gage, but at the least will be able to be that number one target for the latter years for Matt Ryan. Myjai Sanders is going to add to the edge of Cleveland, so they retool this defensive line where they're going to have Clowney, Garrett, Sanders, and Jordan Davis all in that just adding pressure and just constantly getting through. You look here, Baltimore Ravens getting defensive line, so they get interior defensive line, interior offensive line in their picks. Solid for them. Jahan Dotson's going to be that wide receiver 3 for the Vikings, with KJ Osborne moving down to the 4. I think that sets them up well. Kaiir Lam falls because of the injury concerns, but the Colts get a possible number 1 corner. Going on to the next guys, Perrion Winfrey is an arguable a first-round pick, and he's going to lead that interior for the Chargers, where they try to sign some veteran guys and it just didn't look too good. Daniel Faele is going to help out the offensive line for the Saints and Matt Corral, as Terron Armstead's probably going to go and Ramchep's making a lot of money, so he might not be there. First running back and only running back to come off in these first 2 rounds is Isaiah Spiller going to the Dolphins. This is a team that just wants to be competitive on the offensive side. Their defense is always shut down. So now you look at it, they got Jalen Waddle. Hopefully they bring Gesicki back, but now they have Isaiah Spiller in the backfield with Tua. And you look at, they also drafted Jamison Williams in that first round. This is a very talented team. They just got to figure out that offensive line. David Bell being that big-bodied receiver that needed to be there last year, alongside of Devontae Smith, Roger McCreary helping out that secondary. This is a team that's neglected the corner position and just kind of put Band-Aids there for a while. They're losing out on a lot of those Band-Aids, though, and Joe Hayden is going to be a free agent. Raiders get Jalen Tolbert, another guy who's going to play that outside receiver while Renfro controls the slot, so him and Adams can be on that outside. Damon Clark is going to be another great linebacker for the Patriots because we don't know what's going to happen with Hightower, Van Noy, etc. Marcus Jones being a slot corner and one of the best at it in this draft for the Cardinals is really going to help out Byron Murphy and company. DeMarvin Leal is going to go to the Cowboys and wreak havoc in the middle, so Michael Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and the rest of the defense can continue their greatness under Robert Quinn, Dan Quinn. Buffalo Bills just get another great defensive player in Luis Cine out of Georgia, hard hitter, can move them around, just kind of put them out there in different sets. Poyer's not getting any younger, and his contract's coming up to an end. I think it's a good spot for them to go. Desmond Ridder, can he be the replacement for Matt Ryan? He's going to learn behind him and hopefully be that for the Falcons. So I really do like that pick for the Falcons as well. Green Bay Packers get John Mechie, finally a receiver, and one that could have been a first-rounder if the injuries didn't happen to him as well. Kingsley Enagbare going to the Buccaneers, replacing what they had in JPP, Sue, and all the older guys who really pushed for Tom Brady to get that ring as they try and get younger and also stay competitive. Christian Watson at 61, just a huge receiver to pair alongside Debo and Ayuk and just make this Shanahan offense even scarier than it already is. Brandon Smith to control the interior for that Kansas City Chiefs. Hitchens is probably going to be cut because of the money situation, but you have decent guys around there. I know Willie Gay hasn't shown as much as you'd want, but they also, I don't know why I'm blanking on the name, Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton has been very, very good for them. So that's a pretty solid linebacking core that you have there. Another offensive line help in Max Mitchell for the Bengals, ending it off with Drake Jackson to the Broncos to help out that edge help. Again, let me know what you think about this second-round mock draft. It's a long video, obviously, I know, but I had a blast. I hope you did too. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on, all that stuff. And if you did enjoy your time, it's okay. Just refresh the page and let me just think about it the second time. But without further ado, that is going to be it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.